it seems like every year, about a dozen or so people ask me, what was the best film of the year? As if I would know. For some reason, I don't know. But I feel like when it comes down to it, that's a lot more difficult of a question to answer than one might think. And no matter how objective we try to be about this whole thing, like, it always comes down to the film of the year that said the thing that we needed to hear the most. So when folks ask me what the best film of the year was, I tend to give a pretty exhaustive list. Like that one. Oh my god, look, there it is, right on the screen. Wow. The miracle of modern editing techniques. That said, there are like 2 films this year that are the most important films to me. They're just stuck in my head and I can't get them out, and I don't want to. The first is a film called Colossal, which is a deep tissue analysis of abusive relationships, how they manifest, their destructive tendencies, and how we rationalize having them, how we're more willing to hurt ourselves than confront our real problems, and how ultimately abuse, no matter how small, harms us on like a global scale. And while we feel we have no impact, getting rid of abuse anywhere in the world is heroic.
She's the monster.
But with all that said, that's not really the film that I want to talk about today. I'd really like to talk about my actual favorite film of the year, Ingrid Goes West. Textually, this is a movie about Ingrid, a miserable person that so desires lives outside her own that she stalks, manipulates, and obsesses over people she finds on Instagram. The movie opens with a blowback of things not going her way. She pepper sprays someone at their wedding.
Fighting me, you fucking cunt!
Yikes. And the film that follows is her journey finding her next best friend, moving to LA, sneaking into their life and realizing both that they aren't as happy as they appear on Instagram and that she has legitimate psychological problems that she doesn't understand. So the first thing that comes to mind in something like this is, unfortunately, often the social media angle. A lot of critics online will toss a film directly into the trash if they feel that it is portraying social media in a way that is inaccurate, but I feel like that's a bit of a conflation. Like, it's a little bit deeper than just that. We have this tendency to think that social media itself is what needs to be accurately portrayed on screen for us to connect to it. The basic terms are that if it seems fake, people won't buy into it. But I think we can go a bit deeper with that and say the real problem is an issue of psychology. How do people interact with their technology in an honest way? It's a pretty common thing in movies now where some older, sympathetic character will look down on the youth of today that are constantly on their phones like it's such a simple thing. It basically creates a scenario whereby we cannot understand the real psychology of the problem because we can say, oh, these kids these days only care about their phones. Or we can just say, the phones are the problem. Thing is, that's not what storytelling is really about. That's the mentality of someone who hasn't really taken the time to understand why people are so interested in technology. This portrayal of technology is really unnuanced shorthand that takes the filmmaker off the hook from really looking inward and understanding why they think this about the youth of today with them damn phones. Maybe their problem is simply that they don't understand. And now we can get into Ingrid Goes West. In my personal view, because I work on the internet and I spend an awful lot of time interacting with technology, Ingrid Goes West is a portrait of our actual psychological relationship with our devices. So basically, Instagram has allowed us to do 2 things. Number 1, we can display as often as we want the best possible version of ourselves. And by doing that, this informs how those that follow us see us. It's not true, we are complex people, we have problems, we have desires, we struggle every day, but that doesn't come across in the images. Only our perfect, blissful, wondrous lives. And number 2, it has allowed us the ability to look at anyone we want's best side at all times, whenever we want. Thus, we, as complex human beings that have common struggles, can look at all the other people living perfect lives and generate our envy. It makes us feel like we need to compete because we don't know these people and don't know that their problems aren't that different from our own. So Ingrid Goes West is a film about 2 people. Taylor Sloan, the Instagram model that wants to appear as if she has a perfect life, life, but ultimately doesn't. And Ingrid, the person that is lured in by the prospect of having the perfect life with her perfect friend in the perfect city, but as the film goes on to clearly posit through a long-winded, suspense-driven narrative, there is no perfect life. Only how we see and how we want to be seen. But when we get to the end of the film, that's where we see, like, this concept take an extended run. And it's complicated. Ingrid attempts suicide after being found out as a fraud and losing everything, but the thing is, she films it on her phone and tons of people watch it. When she ultimately survives the attempt, she has become immensely popular online. This is the kind of cynical ending that, when unquestioned, kind of feels like it's saying, like, see? Social media is bad. And not a whole lot more. But this is a misconception. This comes from my personal experience with the internet and social media popularity, but in as simple a terms as I can put it in, a fake level of happiness is something you chase for an audience. People want to see you being happy all the time, and you ultimately become a slave to the way you want to be seen, thus totally eating you alive and ending whatever happiness you had with the account in the first place. But on the adverse, really letting your soul bleed for an audience is dangerous. If you do that, you'll find that the people that watch you and care about you will be fleeting when ultimately you don't find the satisfaction that you thought you would get by being so open. You either chase being happy until you're miserable, or you have to be in a constant state of crisis. Therefore, you can never actually feel a connection to what you're doing on a level other than the tactical. On a psychological basis, you have taken your emotional state and lifestyle and turned it into a game. And if you lose the game, it could hurt you worse than you would ever imagine possible. So the end of the film is a sad commentary not on like how inherently bad social media is, as if it's that simple, but rather like how dangerous and cyclical putting your emotional state on the line for fame is. Now I want to take a quick step back here and say that I'm not miserable doing what I do. My emotional state is not always dependent on how my online numbers look. Matter of fact, I think it's just healthy to separate yourself from that and focus on like pleasing yourself instead of trying to please like a majority of people. I guess that means I have to come clean and tell you that all of this, it's for me. Like, I think it's fun to formulate ideas and then turn those ideas into videos. The thing I enjoy about having an audience is that I have like this large group of people that I can bounce my admittedly weird ideas off of and, you know, engage with them, talk about them, and hopefully understand them better. I am not perfect. I have struggles just like everyone else. And if you ever thought that I have the perfect life or something like that based on my videos or my pictures, I'm sorry. That's not how it is. And if you want life to be perfect, might I suggest that you accept the fact that it's just not going to be that way? Like, because it's not about being perfect. It's about being more than that. It's about being human. Ultimately, this is what makes the film so resonant to me. It's a film that exhibits both how we want to be seen versus how we actually are. We're all humans with flaws and wants and needs and struggles, and that's why we so desire online attention, but also why we need to be aware of how it's actually affecting us and what it means to us. Anyways, so follow me on Instagram! Hello, and welcome to the end of the video. So, this is an admittedly kind of short one on Ingrid Goes West, which is like, yeah, my favorite film of the year. I'm very excited that this exists, and it filled me with a lot of interesting and complex emotions that I didn't know I could feel, and that's, you know, that's what cinema does, right? It expresses things that we can't ultimately, you know, pin down. I do have like a longer video that I have planned, but the thing is, like, it was supposed to be out by Christmas, but it's taking a little bit longer than anticipated because there's a lot of stuff that happens in it, so I need to shoot it, and it's gonna be hard. So I am currently like taking my time. I'd rather put out something that's really, really good than get it out in like a rush, so that's my current mentality on that. So be patient, there is something coming, and it's gonna be really cool, and I think you guys are really gonna love it. But yeah, give me a minute. Just Give me a minute. I'd like to thank my lovely Patreon supporters, or at least the ones that stuck around, because Patreon had like that weird meltdown thing with the fees, and it was horrible, and I don't understand why they've done this, and everything I've read about it confuses me more, because I'm just like, but that's not a very good solution to your very basic problem. But whatever, it only jeopardized everybody's financial state. If, for whatever reason, you do not want to go through Patreon to support the channel, I now have a Ko-fi account. I think it's called Ko-fi, Ko-fi. I don't know. Anyway, it's a cool service where you can buy me a coffee. It's like $3, goes straight to my like PayPal account if you buy me a coffee. And of course, this money won't actually be spent on coffee. It's like a metaphor for how cheap it is to support a creator on the internet. Anyway, so yeah, thank you guys for all the donations. They've been amazing, and you guys are fantastic. You guys keep me doing this. And anyway, thank you guys for watching, and you have a good day. Goodbye.